Imagine you're a recent college graduate full of hope and drive, but finding it difficult to start your career. Or you're part of our aging workforce with more productive time before you retire, but you're afraid you might be downsized. Our guests today are leaders doing excellent work to stimulate job and business growth in Southern California. Bringing people together in partnerships just might be the answer on The Question Is with Anthony Portantino. Today on The Question Is with Anthony Portantino, I'm excited to be joined by Cynthia Kurtz, the former city manager of the great city of Pasadena, who is now the Executive Director of the San Gabriel Valley Economic Partnership. The partnership is charged with maintaining and expanding the economic base of the communities of the San Gabriel Valley. And Ed Rendon, a labor leader who had the unique idea of getting business and organized labor to work in collaboration to stimulate job growth and business opportunity. What a novel idea. Ed is the chairman of the board of the San Gabriel Valley Civic Alliance. I can't resist saying it. Let's get to work and ask the questions. Guys, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony.
Absolutely. Cynthia, so back in the 80s, the San Gabriel Valley was sitting there wondering what its future was going to be. Not always getting the love from downtown LA that it should and deserve for its population, and folks had this idea to create the partnership. So walk us through why it became about and what are you doing exciting in the San Gabriel Valley?
Yes, it was 23 years ago that some of the cities in the San Gabriel Valley, 31 cities, realized that if they were going to each strike out on their own to try to do economic development for their communities, they wouldn't be able to do nearly as much as if they worked together. And that brought about the discussion, but they needed to work with business. And as business got involved, they soon realized they needed education to make that a full discussion of what make economic development work. And so we're a consortium of cities, businesses, and colleges and universities in the San Gabriel Valley, and our mission is to enhance the quality of life and create jobs in our region. It's a big region, as I said, 31 cities, 14 pockets of unincorporated area, and we've got 1.8 million people.
1.8 million people, which
live
is
in this region.
Big chunk of Los Angeles County.
It sure is.
Even though it's not treated that way by some folks on the western side of Los Angeles County.
Sometimes we have to remind people we're here.
Exactly. And Ed, the alliance is unique in a sense, as it took the same sort of goal and structure in a sense, but said, you know what, business and labor are both sides of the same coin and should be working together to create jobs. So that was part of your vision. How did you, what were you, sitting there one day and you said, I want to do this? To walk us through your genesis and how you fit in with this.
Right. And thanks. First of all, I'd like to say thank you, Anthony, for having me. And it's a pleasure to sit with Cynthia again. We were at an event last week together and looking forward to working on many projects together. The Alliance was founded for the sole purpose of collaboration. In my work with the Teamsters Union, I've worked many years with our corporate partners in parcel and solid waste and grocery, the major private sector industries, many times at city councils and school boards and in front of the city of LA and Sacramento. And oftentimes that's not seen. When it comes down to labor and management relations, sometimes that doesn't make the press. Sometimes that's not significant enough, but it happens a lot. So with that in mind, several labor leaders and water directors decided, how can we do this more proactively? And as we were discussing how to work together with corporate entities, small business or large, with government agencies, anywhere where there's employees, we said, why are we going to limit our scope? Why can't we work with the broader community, government leaders, education leaders? And we formed the Civic Alliance. There's a lot of detail into that formation, but it came together with the work of a Cora Fellow who identified the East Coast Civic Alliance post 9/11 as the model where CEOs to worker bees, as they call it, got together and reshaped the region. And the Civic Alliance is a term that reflects a broad scope of stakeholders. And we've been in business since 2010.
One of the things I like about talking to both of you is you both get excited because you're creating. You know, oftentimes we have advocacy groups that oppose something or they're, have a perspective, but you guys sort of give birth to ideas and collaborations. And Cynthia, walk us through some of the statistics on the San Gabriel Valley, the job growth, and how you see that pattern continuing into the future.
So, well, the San Gabriel Valley has really struggled, as Ed knows, over the last few years. We were, 10 years ago, we had about 640,000 jobs here in our region, and we steadily climbed to about 675,000 jobs till the year 2008. And then in about 18 months, we lost 55,000 jobs. And a lot of those jobs were in construction. We had a 40% unemployment rate for construction jobs here in our region. Construction jobs are good wage-paying jobs.
Right.
So it does not just hurt the person that lost the job, but the whole family and the whole region because of the loss in wealth that we saw. And we struggled, but we're starting now to see a recovery. We're not back to where we were pre-recession. But in 2011, we started adding jobs. Then in 2012, we added 11,000 jobs, and last year, 12,000 jobs. So still below where we want to be, and still not creating the jobs for the young students that are coming out of our schools. But we see the path forward, and we should be back to pre-recession levels of positions by the end of 2015.
Do you see how, obviously you mentioned the word recession, we're still not completely out of the woods, but the trend is good. Are you optimistic, or what are your internal analysis of the big picture recession beyond the San Gabriel Valley? How do you see things?
Well, I wish it was happening faster, as I'm sure we both do, but I am optimistic. The jobs that we're seeing created are not the same sectors as the jobs we lost, but we are adding good paying jobs. And we're adding jobs that bring wealth into the region because they're products or services that are purchased by communities outside, importing and exporting type of. We're seeing our largest growth in our largest employment sector, which is healthcare, which is not unusual. That is true for most communities and most regions in California. But they are good wage-paying jobs in most cases. We're seeing growth in business and professional services, and those are the kind of businesses that serve other business-to-business services. So they got hit really hard during the recession. Now, if you're a business, the first thing you're going to do is cut your contracts and try to save your employees. So when we're seeing businesses start to put those contracts back in place for the engineer, for the architect, for the accountant, we know they're feeling healthier. And for the first time in any data I can find, even predating certainly my time at the partnership, we actually added some manufacturing jobs
in the San Gabriel
2013. And they're supporting healthcare, pharmaceutical type, and they're supporting aerospace engineering jobs because that is a growing sector in LA County. And we're seeing the manufacturing jobs in the San Gabriel Valley.
Very good. Ed, the San Gabriel Valley is long been viewed as a place where people go to settle and raise their family. I mean, some of the most thriving sort of middle American communities, people come here for that quality of life. And obviously, one of the pieces of the puzzle is you want to live and work in the same community. And walk us through some of the unique things that you're working on to sort of keep the jobs in the San Gabriel Valley close to those communities where people want to live.
I'll answer that by, I agree. There are people that embrace it. I grew up in this region. I grew up in Montebello. And I would also add, Anthony, that our notion with the Alliance was that we wanted to bring attention to what is here. Right. Not to say that other organizations were not doing that. It's just very clear in past administrations in the city of LA, there wasn't that connect. And we wanted to emphasize what is here by way of education, higher education, curriculum, innovative techniques in education, best practices in government. So as we went into multiple sectors, you mentioned labor and business, but we are charged with 5 sectors: labor, business, government, education, and what we consider nonprofit/community. That is pretty comprehensive of all stakeholders. So what we noticed was, what is good about this region? What is happening? Be it a small operation in El Monte, be it a great innovative program at Mount Sac, be it an incredible program the partnership is doing. What is happening out here that we want to promote? And Cynthia and I worked with some projects early on in our existence with trying to bring the NFL stadium to the area, which was a very good project, and that showed the ability of 2 organizations to work closely to bring something good, which would create a lot of jobs. So what is going on with us is we're accentuating, highlighting what's happening. We have public-private partnerships emerging in school districts with corporate entities, small business bringing major corporations in to help offset cost. Those are happening. We have done so much by way of meaningful networking that we are close to launching a joint powers authority, which will address water infrastructure issues, traditional public finance services. Post-RDA, the loss of redevelopment dollars has impacted everybody. Some chambers have gone out of business because of it. It is an issue, and we've been able to address post-RDA with some very good partners downtown.
That's a very good point. Cynthia, you worked closely with the redevelopment agencies in the San Gabriel Valley, and I often tell folks that we had many of the good actors, communities that really were doing it right. Obviously Monrovia, Pasadena, Glendale, Burbank were just cities that were doing it right. How did the loss of RDA contribute to some of the economic uncertainty in the San Gabriel Valley?
I think it really hurt the job retention and the business retention. That connection between City Hall and businesses, so that businesses, when they have a problem, before they decide they're going to pack up and leave, they know where to go, they know who to talk to. The people that were keeping those connections alive were lost when redevelopment went away. And I think both the Civil Alliance and the partnership have been trying to rebuild those partnerships and that connection, because businesses felt the loss. It wasn't just the cities. Businesses felt the loss when they no longer were able to reach out for resources and connections to find the training programs they need, the resources they need for getting through a permitting process. Those kinds of things that are important to a business, especially as they try to add jobs, just vanished overnight.
What about enterprise zones? That was the next thing that disappeared 2 years later. Was that a big impact on the San Gabriel Valley, or has that wave that impact not yet come through?
Well, some of it. We only had one enterprise zone in the San Gabriel Valley, and that was in Pasadena. And I know Pasadena certainly felt that. That was very, very helpful in bringing jobs and investment into Northwest Pasadena, a region that was hard to attract business without some intervention from the public sector. Many other cities had applied over the last few years within our region, had applied for enterprise zones, but actually no one in Southern California had gotten an enterprise zone for some time.
Okay. One of the criticisms of Sacramento at the time was these were tools that local municipalities were using, particularly redevelopment. If you take them away and you don't replace them with any statewide economic development plan, you're going to make it very, very difficult for those cities to have economic development. And I guess one of the downside of the state not having an alternative plan is it agencies like yours and partnerships like yours now have to bear a bigger burden in providing that economic development where redevelopment was doing it and the state was doing it. Do you think that it is spurring a more excitement about what you're doing, the lack of the state help?
We added another business assistance position so that we had 2 people in the field that were just there to help businesses. We do a lot of that work through city halls, where we'll go to the city halls and let them tell us where they think there might be a fragile business community or a certain sector they're concerned about, so they will guide us in a certain way, and we reach out to those businesses and try to make that connection either to the college and university, to the city, or to whomever it is that they might need. So yes, we saw an increase in the call for our services when redevelopment went away.
When we come back on The Question Is, we're going to get into some of the specific, exciting things that these two great partnerships are doing to bring jobs into a community of 1.8 million people. So come back on The Question Is.
Smokey just gave me a bear hug.
We're back on The Question Is with Anthony Portantino, talking about jobs, economic development. Though a lot of the conversation is specific to the San Gabriel Valley, the models that we're talking about are not. Every region can duplicate some of the success of the partnerships and the collaboration that's going on right here. With that, one of the biggest issues is how to fund infrastructure, how to fund some of these things. I mean, we know that cities, again, through the loss of redevelopment, lost a big piece of economic development. Walk us through, Ed, some of the unique funding models that the Alliance is working with cities and the private sector.
Okay. In deciding our priorities for the Alliance, it was very clear to us, and I'd be curious to see what Cynthia thinks, that the area is very fragmented. We felt in the Alliance, our leadership, which has leaders from all sectors, that it's very fragmented, be it water districts or just there needs to be more communication, more connectivity that you find in Orange County or Inland Empire or Los Angeles, City of Los Angeles, and we're part of it. So with that in mind, we really focused on trying to figure out how to do meaningful work with infrastructure, transportation issues. And from that work and from the convening and from the networking of many professionals in bond counsel and public finance, the Alliance and the board was approached to consider, and our board approved it, moving forward on the creation of a new Joint Powers Authority to address issues specifically to water infrastructure and to the loss of RDA through creative public finance programs. There are so many things that cities and school districts and water districts can do within their finances. I learned a lot, and it's amazing what programs are available, again, in light especially of the loss of RDA and the panic that is impacting a lot of budgets. And even in cities and school boards where they're healthy financially, who doesn't want creative, innovative programs? So with that, the board met last June in 2013 downtown with some leading figures in public finance and bond counsel, and we've created a Joint Powers Authority, which is soon to be official. We're working with a couple of public agencies that will do resolutions to put this forward, and we will really hit it hard. And there are a lot of great Joint Powers Authorities, but they're very specific to maybe one thing, insurance or some region. Right. We don't want to limit ourselves to region, although we've come out of the Alliance. It's going to be called the California Innovation Financing Authority, and we're going to market ourselves as a solution, as is the Alliance. We're part of the solution.
So the JPIA will have taxing authority, will be able to float bonds, right, and all of
bonds,
that.
All of that.
Under California law, it's all allowed to do that.
Correct.
And that's the model you're going to adopt.
Correct. And based on, again, there are many JPAs doing those things, but this is, once again, embracing this area and the needs and identifying the leaders and presenting a program or a tool to them that they can share and create. Because everything starts somewhere. And we figured we were approached as a nonprofit organization by these leaders to do something new and fresh and vibrant, and we're going to launch that relatively soon.
Very exciting. That leads me to the next question, Cynthia. Oftentimes people look at the San Gabriel Valley, they look at the California economy as a whole, and obviously Silicon Valley is a place for high-tech innovation. San Diego has a lot of biotech down there, but people look at Los Angeles and particularly look at the San Gabriel Valley as an opportunity for growth with biotech, and I think you were talking about some other opportunities. How do you see that with our institutions of higher education, our workforce, the current work? How do you see all of that, the current state, and what do you think is out there for the future of biotech in the San Gabriel Valley?
We've seen real opportunities for biotech and the more broad description of life sciences. And if you just think about a region that's bookend with Caltech on one side and the biomedical that David Baltimore brought there, and the Claremont schools, right, and all of the life science work that goes on there, on our east side, you begin to see, and then right in the heart of the San Gabriel Valley, the City of Hope. you begin to see we have some phenomenal research facilities here that are doing all kinds of biomedical and life sciences research. When we see that coming into jobs, we certainly see it in our healthcare, which I spoke about, and the growth in our healthcare jobs, but we also see it in our food processing, because life sciences and the way food is produced and meeting the health code regulations really ties a lot to what life sciences and biomedical looks at. So we're seeing those jobs and the creation of the work or the research of the work of those institutions building several different sectors and really good jobs.
We talked a little bit about both of your organizations and greater Los Angeles community working collaboratively on trying to attract an NFL franchise to Los Angeles, and I think to a person, most people agree that that would be an economic windfall for the region. But another project that has a lot of support, both for the original laying the track, but also the economic growth that will go along, is the goal line. How, Ed, have you guys been involved? I know labor is a very big supporter of the goal line, as well as the cities along the route. And we are seeing Los Angeles, which doesn't always treat the San Gabriel Valley the way it should be treated, sort of taking notice and saying, walk us through some of that aspect that's going on.
I think everyone would agree it's exciting to see the development of this. You know, you go to other cities and the rail gets you from here to there. I lived in Chicago in grad school. I didn't need a car. So I think we're all excited to see this happen. I in my labor capacity, I've been working on the goal line at MTA and at various legislative hearings and meetings all over the corridor. So very supportive of it. The Alliance, again in 2010, took that up as well. And with the former administration, it was a little different approach to this, where the new Garcetti...
There were a lot of broken let's just say what it was. The former administration had a lot of broken promises when it came to the goal line.
Right. It got complicated. And it's very refreshing to see the Garcetti administration embrace this. And as a matter of fact, he has convened 2 meetings of the LA County mayors, and that says a lot about where he intends to go in this region. And right. The Alliance and I'm sure the partnership will be there at every step of the way to work with him and do good things here. But getting back to the goal line, we are very excited about it. We will support it. We will work with any entity that wants to promote awareness or any legislative work on that.
Right, and as I said, the goal line is a light rail through the San Gabriel Valley, hopefully to continue all the way to the Ontario airport. And I always say to Los Angeles, what a concept, connecting light rail to an international airport. Right. Imagine that. So there are planners, and then there are planners who sometimes the point of their pencil breaks. But in this case, the San Gabriel Valley is doing it right. The goal line is intended to go to the Ontario airport, and it needs the love and care that other projects on the west side get. I mean, as you've mentioned, our population deserves it, and it makes sense. Now, in addition to the light rail itself, each of the cities along the route have their own economic development plans. Do they work in concert with you? How are they coordinating? So, for example, Monrovia, Claremont, how are those cities working in partnership on the economic development that's intended for the goal line route?
Transportation really drives economic development. You will see the economies built around transportation, and you see it along the 10 and the 60 where you have the
it goes back to
train.
rivers.
Yes, I think it probably did start with rivers. I think that's true. And now it's moved to highways, and now railroads, highways, and now back to railroads, right? And so certainly we're seeing a different economy blossom in the northern part of our region around light rail, both the cities that already are served and the cities that are getting ready to serve. And the really good thing, going back to our education, which Ed and I both mentioned several times, is that train also connects a lot of colleges and universities. Right. And so you're bringing both the research, the interns, the future employees, and the businesses together. And that is an ideal situation and a very, very important project for our region.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I think makes the San Gabriel Valley special is, as you mentioned, you have the Claremont colleges on one side, Caltech, but you also, and Ed brought up Mount Sac, Citrus, PCC. The education opportunities are significant, and the community colleges are providing a lot of the certificate programs. And tying back to the healthcare, many of the healthcare professions that we have job shortages don't require four-year degrees.
Okay.
And where are you going? You're going to Citrus, you're going to PCC, and so if we can move our students and connect them to those education opportunities as well, the San Gabriel Valley in California, I think will be better served. Ed, going back to the partnership, we've mentioned labor in business. That's just not a phrase. Walk us through some of the member agencies that are participating, and when you do have events, who's there? You know.
Now, when you mention agencies, are you referring to companies?
Like different. The building trades are there, private sector business.
Oh, I see.
You know, how is that partnership? Because that's unique.
Right. So within labor, clearly, to me, there's not one singular voice of labor. I'm a third-generation Teamster. I come from a private sector union, predominantly private sector. And the building trades are, I would consider, a hybrid of both public and private, but more so private, I'd say. And then there's a public sector government unions. So with the Alliance, we have all three represented. And we've been able to attract solar companies and other vendors doing business, and they go through the procurement process with cities. Our notion is that's going to happen anyway. Business as usual. Politics is going to happen. Labor, I mean, all these things are going to happen. Our role is to be more proactive. And referring back to the genesis of the Alliance, I had just finished work with one of our private sector employers to secure their renewal of a solid waste agreement in the region, and they've been there 30 plus years. It took some work, but it was an 11th hour type of thing where we had a rally. That gave me the notion to be more proactive. Because, again, business as usual, this is how we do things. Mm-hmm. But why can't we be more proactive? Why can't the business community, be it corporations or small business or entrepreneurs, innovators, know building trades or know what the Teamsters do or what government unions represent city workers? I mean, why can't there be a better awareness of that? And in terms of the Alliance, we are nonpartisan. We don't take political positions. We've presented forums on issues, and we will continue to do so.
And I've attended some of your events, and you have both Republicans and Democrats who come, elected officials, which again is rare for a group to be attracting the rising stars of both parties.
I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of comments from Republican or Democratic office holders that have come to me and said, this is a different type of room. To me, that's high praise. And I've asked to a couple of people, well, is that okay? And they said, it's excellent, it's great. So that tells me we're doing something right. You know, I can't help but notice the Capitol behind you, a place that you have been, and we hope to see you again soon, that public service, you know, unfortunately, in public service, or business, or labor, sometimes the good work we do doesn't make the front page. Right. But there's so many good things going on, and it's my hope that we could take it to another level of working proactively to do great things for this region and the greater region.
Cynthia, as the Alliance navigates public-private labor business, you also have to deal with big cities, small cities. Your member agencies don't always have the same agenda. How are you able? We have about 30 seconds left. That presents a unique challenge, but something you've been doing very well. How are you getting all of those cities to work together so wonderfully?
So, well, I think that both of us has found that you find the issues that really are meaningful for the region, and not try to work at the local issues where people tend to fight each other. Right. And if you're looking at what's good for the region, most people will set aside their personal agendas and work for what they see is going to be good, especially when you're talking about things like jobs.
You know, I wanted to end there because that's sort of the crux of the matter. Politicians, if you're listening, do what's good for your region and your state and put the petty politics aside, because here we have business, labor, we have everybody rowing in the same direction to bring jobs to the San Gabriel Valley, to bring good jobs to the San Gabriel Valley and a good quality of life. Thank you for tuning in to The Question Is with Anthony Portantino, and thank you, too, for being here.
Thank
you,
you for the
Anthony.
invitation.